I've known Boyd, and can I tell you, I've been texting him back and forth because he is a guru when it comes to not only social media, but doing conferences. He's been doing them for a while. and and there, in fact, Ann and I were just talking about there's so much on the back end that you never realize when doing any of this. And so I am so thankful to Boyd because he's been somebody that I can call, and he's always generous with his time and his talent. We met, oh, I don't know. So we met probably a good 10 or 15 plus maybe years ago. Boyd brought in the Valley Journals into the Utah area, or bought it and expanded it to all of the different locations. And that's kind of how I knew you was, paper marketing and sales. And then you sold that and moved into digital. So you really know every aspect, if you will, of marketing, because you know branding, not only are you an author, you do, you've got a published author, you've got stories, different stories you send out. Is it poems and different things on during Christmas, during the years, and that you've sent out? And
Yeah, I don't do poems. I do stories though, and they're short stories, as in 20 pages, 30 pages, thereabouts, that I do during Christmas, and then I have some fictional books that I've done, and am finishing up one of those right now.
yeah.
So yes, so
So you're giving Jim a hard time when he was on.
yeah,
Because
well,
we're talking a little bit about
Jim and
social
I do a
media.
lot together, and so I was saying, oh, he's taking my thunder. No, no, because he was talking about SEO, and
Mhm.
social media is 1/3 of SEO scores.
Yeah,
And so if you don't know that, that's an important thing. And I'm going to repeat it because it is important on both social media and SEO side to understand that. And so no big deal. I
absolutely.
mean, he and I
So,
talked afterwards and we were laughing at each other.
so Boyd, like I've asked each person in that, how did you get into, well, I guess just even to marketing and everything. How did you get into where you're at?
Well, let me quickly show you a couple of things. I don't usually do introductions of myself, but I'm going to do one real quick. Okay, so here's my family. And as you see at the top, it says I've been doing conferences and trainings for 25 years. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to tell you about I have family. I love to travel. My wife is from Ireland,
Ah,
actually Ireland, just outside of Dublin. And so we go there every once in a while. I do love writing stories, both or writing books, both fiction and business. And this is one that I did. I think that was last year's book, and this is the compilation of all of the stories that I've done. But I also do business books, and these are a couple of them. I have one that's on Instagram. I have one on Facebook groups and how to use those and things like that. I love watching movies. I love reading, although reading is spelled wrong, so it's reading. I like reading books, so I use a red pen. And no, um, and I'm big into time and space travel. I do love mysteries and detective novels and movies and things like that. Been married over 40 years to the same person,
yeah.
yes. How I got into business. This is what you were just asking me. I am a serial entrepreneur, and I started at age 12 selling greeting cards door to door. Okay.
Mm.
I've had several businesses. Many have failed, but some have succeeded. Several have succeeded. I love helping others to succeed. And that's what I found out when I started. I did actually start the journals that you knew me from. I bought it when there was one journal, had a total circulation of 17,000. We bought it, we worked it for a couple of years, and then we started duplicating it in other areas. So we just did it in the south end of the Salt Lake Valley at first, and then before long we went from 17,000 to 23,000 circulation. When I sold them in 2014, and that was 1998 that we bought them. And in 2014, when we sold them, we had a total circulation of 340,000 copies. And so we were the largest newspaper in the state of Utah. In fact, if you took all the four daily newspapers at that time and combined their circulation, we were the same size as all of them. And so we did a lot of things. Now, we were different than them because we were community newspapers and they were metro dailies, and we weren't daily. I sold them, and I worked for Entrepreneur Launchpad to help build other people, because I learned when I was running businesses, I wanted to help others succeed. And as I helped others succeed, then it helped me succeed as well. But it was more about helping others like me, that I failed because of bad advice. I failed because I didn't know what I didn't know,
Right.
and things like that. And so I got into Entrepreneur Launchpad. In the 90s, I worked for Comdex, which of course is no longer, but the Consumer Electronics Show is still around. Those were the two largest shows at the time, with up to 200,000 people going to them. And I was training the people who were the vendors at those shows how to attract people to their booths, how to get more people to the show, and things like that. Then I had the Valley Journals, and I have done the Business Success Conference now for 7 years. We started as a physical conference, and it was there at the Miller campus where you're at right now, although it was in the next building over. And then we've expanded it and did a few more over in the Gail Miller building, and got to having lots of different people there. And then I can now say last year, when COVID hit, we took it all virtual. We had been doing some virtual conferences for other things, but the Business Success Conference went virtually last year. And last year I did a 4-day conference in April. It had 36 presentations by 29 presenters, and it was an awesome one. We had people from 10 different countries besides the United States, and we had over 250 people from the United States that were on it, and it was a phenomenal success. And then I teach a lot of people about how to go virtual. And so you talked about that. Now I was going to stop this before I do anything more, because that's not till later. Sorry.
Well, no. So the one thing is that one thing I love about you is just the generosity that you have for training. You know, that you're always sharing, that you're always giving. And so like I've commented to others that have been on, if you could go back when you started business, what is one piece of advice that you would give to yourself?
Well, one of the things, and I taught this at Entrepreneur Launchpad, I taught this when I was teaching people how to market themselves when I was with the newspapers. The thing is, most entrepreneurs, most people who are starting businesses, they don't know what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that may sound like a funny thing, but it's true. People don't know what they need to know to start a business. And there's several books, and I'm going to look at the books that Mitch has, the Business Basics Boot Camp, which goes along with the one that I just showed that I have, the internet marketing, and then the one that's not for internet marketing, startup book. And I'm always loving to read other people's stuff so that I get ideas as well, or maybe I miss something. And because that's the thing, a lot of businesses, people have a great idea and they say, oh, I know there's going to be lots of people who are going to want this. But when they get there, when they get it started, they just haven't a clue how to do some of the things they need to do. And they don't know what they don't know, and it kills them. I've had one company who they had a great product, but they didn't know how to talk to their customers, and they went out of business before they could get their marketing going because they'd spent all their money on the creation of the product, but they didn't leave any money for marketing it. I've had other companies that they marketed it so heavily, they suddenly found that they were getting too much business, and it put them out of business because they couldn't keep up with it. And so you've got to know that balance there, and you've got to know how to structure it, how to bring the right people on. We've talked about, and a lot of people do. In fact, um, Mitch talked about a book that I'm trying to remember the name of the book now, but it's about the lean startup, and he talks about some, making sure you have all the things done, and it's all about you pivot a lot, and with a lean startup you can easily do that. The disadvantage to the lean startup is if you take off too fast, you may get out of control very easily because you haven't planned far enough in advance. And so those are some of the things that I learned. And so to tell me something that I would wish I had known before was find out before you start a business all the things you need to know. And my book does that, and I've got one that's on creating an online business, and I've got one for creating an offline business. So if you want to do a brick and mortar, you can do it there. But
Nice.
that's one of the things that I would tell myself: find out all the things you need to know to start that business. And so that's it. That's the big thing. That's the things that I learned from failed businesses were all those things that I didn't know that I should have known.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I found that like with business, I've talked and shared before as well. I had a company that was doing essential oils, and they found the insurance, the cost of the insurance to insure them put them out of business.
Yeah.
That, and they could have checked that, and they'd already spent thousands and thousands of dollars and so forth. And it's so sad. And that's another reason why I wanted to bring, this conference for those that are starting businesses, just to educate on the different things. And with that being said, let's talk a little bit about, social media. And one of the things is that one thing I found, especially while doing this conference, is that you get a program or you buy a program, which I did, and there's a lot of back end stuff that you have no clue about. I
Yes.
mean, like the social media, and what I found that I was just, I was failing, and flailing is that, where you're kind of in that water and you're just kind of all over the place.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, there's so many different moving parts in that. And so I hope that one of those books that you're going to write is on how to all the back end of the conference, how to run a successful conference.
Actually, I'm putting together a whole course on it so that they can take the course, because it's easier to do a course where you can then make sure that they understood it before you go on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, with a book, they can read it, and if they're thinking about, mom has cancer, and I can't, while they're reading the book, they're not getting as much out of it.
Yeah.
And there are people that do that a lot. Oh yeah, I read 20 books this year. Yes, and how many did you implement? Oh, well, I don't know if I implemented any. That's the wrong attitude. So, but yes, I want to do it as a course so that I can make sure that they understand what I just taught them.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yes.
Yeah. So with that, there is so many different things with social media. Like Jim was talking, the Facebook is still king, I guess. But a lot of times there's LinkedIn, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, and each of them have its own platform, its own little monster, I guess it would. So if you're just getting out started, you understand it a little bit, but what is going to be your best bang for your buck, I guess?
So There are 8 social media sites that I mainly work with. And I do that because they're the ones that are the most beneficial for businesses. And so, if you start with that, then that helps. But you want to first, before you even start figuring out which social media you need to be on, you need to know where your prospects hang out.
Mhm.
Where do they go when they go online? And it depends on what you're going after. Because, I hang out on Facebook and Instagram. Those are my 2 big ones for consumer, but I also hang out on LinkedIn. I hang out on YouTube, and I hang out on Pinterest, depending on what I'm doing. So you've got to be able to target your audience and say, where are they at? And you've got to ask them. And I'll tell you a great example about this. I was working with a guy that's up in Clearfield, somewhere up in that area, Layton, and he had this wonderful product that was it was a spray that you would spray on crayon, and it would dissolve the crayon. So you could take it off of, wood. You could take it off of walls without it ruining the paint. Okay. Well, it's kind of expensive to make. And I was coaching him through this when I was with Entrepreneur Launchpad. And I told him he needed to go out and talk to 20 people who were his absolute perfect clients. And he had identified them as, their moms with children that are usually just before they get into first grade. It's the kindergartners or the 3-year-olds, where they love to get crayons, and they'll draw all over the table instead of the paper you put in front of them. And he went and he says, "Oh, my neighborhood is filled with these people. I'm going to go talk to them." Well, I told him he couldn't go talk to anybody he already knew. And he says, "Well, why is that?" And I says, "Well, there's people who will just say, because it's you, I'm going to say, oh, that sounds really good. I think it'll go really well." And I said, "You want people who will give you an honest opinion." So he did. He went to a neighboring subdivision, and he went door to door, finding moms at home that had children. And yeah, Ann says she has one of those children too. But he went and he called me after about 10 of these visits, and he says, "Boyd, they're all telling me they won't buy it." And I said, "Well, why?" He says, "Well, I don't know. I didn't ask why." And I said, "Well, why not? I mean, were they excited about the product?" "Yeah, they liked the product." And I said, "Well, what was it he said, "I don't know." I said, "Okay, I want you to do 10 more. And because you were going to do 20. So go ask them, but I want you to ask them, is this price," because it's for a 2-ounce bottle. It was going to cost about $12 retail. And that's what we were testing. And I said, "You got to ask them if that's they would buy it if it's that much." And he had a bottle with him that he showed, and he went back out and he found 10 more people. And he called me very excited the next day, and he says, "Boyd, you'll never guess what. I went to 9 people, and on number 8, I found I've got the wrong market." And I said, "Well, tell me about it." And he says, I'm talking to this lady, and as soon as I say it's $12 for this little bottle, she says, "That's too expensive." I says, "And what did the other people before that?" "They said it's too expensive." And I says, "Well, what was different about this number 8? And he said, "Well," she says, "I own a preschool. I'll buy that in my preschool all day long, but I wouldn't buy it for my home. I have the time to rub off crayon. But in a preschool, I need to do it quickly. I need it efficiently." And he says, "Oh my gosh." So we sent him out to talk to preschools. He sells $250,000 a month of this crayon spray because he had the right market. But if he had gone to market and done what he thought what people wanted and everything, he would have failed. And he would have thought that the product was a failure right from the get-go, where it was just going after the wrong market. Well, it's the same thing when you're going talking to your prospects. You got to make sure that you're talking to the right prospects, and then you got to make sure, where are they hanging out? Are they hanging out mainly on Pinterest and not Facebook? Maybe they're on Facebook all the time, but they only look for the fun things, and for things to talk to them on an educational basis of your product. Maybe they're over on Instagram. You got to know this. You got to find some of those customers who are willing to buy, and then find out where they are going to be. And that's how you start with this. And I tell people, only start with 2, maybe 3 social media sites at once, because you could overwhelm yourself trying to keep up with everything. Now, I am on 8 sites, but I have built up to 8 sites. And that's what I tell people. Get the first 2 going really, really well, then add a 3rd, then add a 4th. And I do a whole program on the pros and cons of all the different sites as well. And so that's a good one if you ever want to know what the pros and cons on each of them are and how to handle them. You can go to my YouTube channel and see how to do that. And it's called the pros and cons of the top 8 social media sites. To give you an idea what those top 8 are, people are going to be a little bit surprised, because some that they may think are in the top 8 aren't, and some that are on the top 8. Facebook, of course, is number 1. Instagram is number 2. Number 3 is YouTube. Okay, number 4 is Pinterest. Number 5 is LinkedIn. Number 6 is Twitter. Number 7 is Google My Business. Jim talked about the importance of this, and it is a social media site because you leave reviews. Jim asked for this. He asked for, go to my Google My Business account and leave me a review. But then he gets to talk to you back and forth. That's called social media. Okay. And then the last one is Tumblr is the top 8. Now, I've had people say, well, what about TikTok? Oh, it's taking over the world. And I said, it is for some things, but it's not very strong yet for business. Not like these 8. If you want to do business on them, on TikTok, you've got to be innovative and creative and all this. And a lot of business owners aren't as well at doing TikTok as they think they should be. Now, if you were the Aura Brush and some of their fun commercials back a few years ago, they would be good on TikTok, but others aren't. So understand that Snapchat, sorry, it's going down, but then so is Twitter at this point. In fact, I think Twitter will probably drop off of the top 8 in the next few months, and you'll probably see TikTok come up into that. And there's some others that are just right there at the fringe, but these are the top 8. If you ask people what they hang out on and will listen to business messages, these are the ones.
Would you repeat, Tony is asking if you'd repeat number 4 through 8 again.
Okay, well, I don't have them in an order there, but okay, so let me go through them here. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, that's 1, 2, and 3. 4 is Pinterest. 5 is LinkedIn. Okay, I'm waiting for everybody to catch up. Twitter is number 6. 7 is Google My Business. And number 8 is Tumblr.
So, I mean, because I know that you have content and that you do have programs and you help people that need to get more, more visible on social media. But if you don't have the budget and so forth, I mean, like they say, there's that 80-20 that we've been talking about, how much you should post versus how much that you should call to action and so forth. But before that, what programs have you found that really work because they talk about scheduling so that you're not, that you're not spending like an hour every day, trying to hit those.
Let me tell you about scheduling posts, and then we'll talk about a scheduler, okay? People need to understand when is the right time to be sending their posts out as well. And that's hard to figure out. I have some ideas and it changes day to day almost. And so it's something you have to understand. And a lot of people, when they're doing it themselves, what they'll do is they'll say, "Oh, I've got a few minutes now." They'll create a post and then they'll post it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But maybe the perfect time for their clients would have been at 8:30 in the morning. But they just didn't have time then. They were too busy getting ready for the day and getting things going. So 2 o'clock was when they got time. Okay. Or it might have been after work hours. I have a lot of clients that they do that. They'll create all their ads and then they'll post them at 7:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. And most of their people that are online are on earlier in the day. So yes, on some of them, like on Instagram, if you post something and someone's following you, in somewhere in that post, you're going to be seen in that feed. Sorry. The problem is the older it is, the farther down it is, unless they have been liking a lot or liking, sharing, or commenting on your post all the time. Then it's just simply going to be somewhere down in that. Somewhere you'll find it. And so you want to pay attention to when is the right time to post, and post just before that right time. And that's where a scheduler comes in. Now there's schedulers out there, and I'll tell you, Hootsuite and Buffer are the two big ones that most people know about. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. I use Buffer myself personally, but I don't use it as much as some people think I should, because I have another scheduler who does some other phenomenal things that Buffer doesn't. Okay, and that's the thing that I have to look at. So I have a posting program that I have used. It's built here in Utah, and it's a program called Social Portal. And if you're interested in it, I'll get you information about it. In fact, I'll show you a special on it at the end. So with Social Portal, I have found that people tend to do, or with anything, they only do 3 types of posts. And those 3 types are, they'll do educational, and so everything they post is all educational. They'll post only offers. And so everything is offer, 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 offer. You're always selling to everyone. The third one is fluff, is what I call it. It's the quotes of the day. It's something that Elon Musk just put up, or somebody else that you're a big fan of. So it's all about reposting other people's things usually. And those 3 things aren't bad, just not all the time. Now, I do a program called social media, the recipe for social media success. And this recipe goes through 37 different types of posts that you can actually use. And they're in 6 different categories. And you rotate between those 6 categories to make it a well-rounded social media presence. Now, one of the things that I've done is with my Social Portal program, I've set it up so that you can get it with 3 posts a week that's going to go out. Now, I give you fair warning, the 3 posts are not going to be specific to your industry. For instance, the Monday post is all about motivation. Hey, it's Monday. It's time to take charge of your week. It's, you've had a time to unwind for the weekend. Now it's time to charge into battle. So it's all about motivation. On Wednesday, we usually post something that is a quote from someone, and it's anyone from Aristotle or Benjamin Franklin to Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos. and it's all over the place, but it's generally something that goes along with business. And the third one we do is on Fridays, and it's an engaging post. So it's usually, hey, it's weekend time. Aren't you glad it's here? What are you going to accomplish this weekend? It's all about trying to get them to answer a question, and then you get to engage with them. Okay. And that's an important thing to understand.
Hey, Boyd, I've got a quick question.
Oh, not again. No, yes. Go ahead,
What kind
Jim.
of response rates do you get from these generic kind of posts, the motivational?
Okay, so the generic posts aren't really to get you a lot of things. You don't get a lot of response. You get some, but what you do is then you put in your own posts in between them. There's also something else that happens with this. We have an artificial intelligence program that runs, and it finds out when is the best time to be posting for getting to your clients. After about a month and a half, you can start seeing that it's going to move the Monday post to earlier in the day. Might find on Wednesday posts it's at 3:30 in the afternoon, and because that's when your customers are going to be viewing it more often. So you don't want to rely on these. These are not to take the place of your own posts. But now when you put in educational, and you put in also an offer, and you put in something else that maybe you're doing in your business, these are great to help break it up so that it's not always about just education, just sales. It's about lots of things. And it attracts more people when you have a good, well-rounded way of doing it. And that's what these three posts are for, is they are not really to be for just keeping in front of people for you, but it does do that. I have one client that uses this program. He's used it for over a year. And I called him up one day and I said, you don't often put any of your own posts in there. And he says, I don't need to. And I said, why? He says, well, I've been really busy. But your posts with the little logo, my logo on them, keeps everybody so that they know it's from me. And it reminds them that I do what I do. And he says, so I'm busy. And he says, every once in a while, I do throw in a post that's, a special or an educational thing. And that does great. But really, it's yours consistently coming out. That is one of the key things with social media, consistency. Now, I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people don't want to hear. I had a person who called me the other day and he says, Boyd, you told us on one of your training programs that you had a couple months ago that we should be posting twice a day. I can't figure out what to do. And I said, well, use the recipe for social media success. And it's something for free. If you'd like to get that, let me know and I'll send that to you. But here's the thing. I said, there are companies out there that have found that if they do two or more posts a day, they get more people doing business with them. The average for the highest amount of engagement is 3 posts a day. And if you're a business to business type or a business to consumer, that's Monday through Friday, 3 posts a day. Here's why. Some people, like me, like what Mitch just said, he has a half-hour window that he looks at things, at social media things. I do the same. I only look at my emails and my social media in the morning and in the afternoon. Now, I have 2 half-hour windows that I do that with, but mainly because that's my business. But here's the thing. That's the only times that I'm going to be on. If you post at 10 o'clock in the morning, you've missed me until I go on at 4:30 or so. And by then, I may not see you because you're too far down my feed. Where if you're posting 3 times a day, then more likely I'm going to be able to catch it once a day, maybe twice a day. And I'll be able to be endeared to you and start engaging with you. And that's what this is all about. That makes sense? So
Yes.
having a program that will post for you is great. Do that. Buffer is free for up to 3 accounts. I think it's 100 posts a month on those 3 accounts that you can put their things in. And that's a really good one to use. I don't like Hootsuite myself. They have this great I don't know, dashboard, I guess is what you'd call it. And you can see all kinds of things, but you can get lost in that. So much so that you'll spend 2 hours reading all of the things coming through on it, and you've not accomplished the things you went in to do. So that's why I use Buffer, and I use Social Portal. So
Tell me about social. Tell me a little bit more about Social Portal. So is Social Portal taking place, or is it instead of Buffer, or
Yes.
is it, okay.
Yes.
And with that, then is there a free program with that, or is that a paid program?
Okay, in fact, let me see here. Dwight, you're on here. Would you mind if I showed them your account on here? Dwight? So Dwight Christie is one of my clients on this program. Okay, so if he's okay with it,
can you
maybe
unmute him?
Maybe he's not listening in right now. So nobody tell
here.
him
Oh, here. Hold on just a second. Let me unmute him. Okay, there you go, Dwight.
Dwight, are you there? No, he might be on a phone call or something. Okay. I'm going to show you his account real quick. This is the December one, and this shows the when we posted. Okay. Now I don't know if he's posted anything new in here for January. Nope, we haven't done the January things yet. Oh, we're not logged in. That's why it was.
And he said, "Go ahead."
Okay, thank you. So let me get back into this. Okay, so I'm going to do, I got to go to my account and look up Green Door. And then when I get there, so this is my back end that you're seeing right now. And so it shows me that here's what Green Door is all set up on, but I'm going to go to the calendar. Then I'm going to log in, and this is what you would see when you get in here. When I go and log in as Dwight Christie. So you would see this. Okay, it takes you to approving content. Now he's already approved all of his content, so there's nothing here to approve. But if we go to the calendar, you can see the content he has in here right now. Why is we're not getting your content in here? Hold on a minute. I'm gonna. Oh, I see. Sorry. Let me.
That's okay. It helps us to see what it looks like anyway. So.
Oops! I hit the stop share. Sorry. Let me get this taken care of. But he's been putting some custom content into this now. And this is going to do some big things for him. I'm sorry. I'm glad we went into yours, Dwight. I didn't realize that the template that we didn't have a template set up for you, which is the one that we need. My fault.
So let us know when you go.
Okay, now when we go into his account.
Okay, so now you need to share again.
I know, I got to get it updated here. Okay, so now. Okay, now when we go into it, now this shows the calendar of things that are coming up. But when he now goes in, he will see, the first thing that it wants you to do is make sure that all the content coming up is good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so here it is, here's today's content, and he can go in and say approve. Mm-hmm. He can reject it. He can edit it. So if he wants to edit it and add more to it, he can. And these are the ones that he already has that we created. So these are the fluff ones, kind of fluff. But then when you go into his calendar, you can see that he's put in there, like today at 12:40. So right now, he's got a post that's going out, and here's what the post will look like. So he's put this in, and
okay, yeah.
okay, what is your business strategy for 2021? And then post your comments below, okay? And so that's what, and he's got that going to his Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram account. Okay, and you can tell it where you want it to go. This one, he also added LinkedIn on it. So you can see that LinkedIn post right here. So here's what it looked like when it posted. Okay. So this is, you can go in and add your own content easily by just simply saying, add content, and then you drag in a picture or bring a picture in. When I teach this, I always use my Lighthouse Day, which was back in October. And, you know, happy Lighthouse Day. And then you can go on and you can put in anything you want. Now you'll notice also it's different for the main body versus a tweet, which is from Twitter. Because Twitter only goes to 280 characters, but these go up to 1,000 words. So
okay, so on there you have videos, so you can do video as well. Is that easy to?
Yeah, you just bring in your video right here. You can do the same thing. Now, this is one of the disadvantages to this right now is some of the companies won't allow video to come in from a service like social portal. And so Facebook and Twitter do, but the others don't right now. And so Instagram, LinkedIn, any of the others, we can't go to right now. And so, but we're working on that. And in fact, we'll have Instagram up here shortly. And we were just working on LinkedIn as well. So you'll be able to do that. Okay.
Nice.
But, and then when you go into this, you can publish now, or you can schedule it. You can tell it where you want it to go. And that's what Dwight has done. He's got some that include LinkedIn. Some, this one that you can't see the logo down here is Google My Business. And so anyway, you choose that, you hit next. Then if you have multiple businesses, you can have multiple businesses here. And then you go to, next. Then you schedule it. So I want this to go out tomorrow, and I want it to go out at 7 in the morning. And so I can set that up. So there it is. Now when I hit finish, it'll go and post it. I'm not going to post it because Dwight won't like me posting something that was, Lighthouse Day was back in October,
Yeah.
So anyway.
That's nice and easy.
Does that make sense?
So now this is you doing it for him, which I know is
so
a cost.
I have, let me go back to content or calendar. I do all of these that are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Not the red ones. The red ones are his things. All of those come into him automatically every month. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then you just add in your own content to add to everything.
And so I'll throw this back on the portal, then the social portal. Is that included with your company, or does he sign up for social portal, or if he's working with you?
So for example, on this particular program, our normal price is $39.97 for this. Now before COVID, we were charging $149 for this, but we were doing some additional things with it. And we had a lot of people who said, I want to do it myself because I've now got time and I'm at home, so let me do it. So this is what we came up with. I was able to talk to the company, and we got that so that the posts are now going in for a very low price. So, and for you today, if you sign up, it's it's normally $39.97. It's going to be $29.97. So you get 25% off.
So not $3,997.
No.
$39.
$39.97. And that is per month. It
Yeah,
is
I
per
just wanted to
month.
clarify that on that.
Yeah, it's a probably a good idea to clarify that. Yeah.
So can you put in the chat? Also, Rachel was asking about where to get the social media recipe for success. Where would they go to
Okay,
do the
so I'll
$29.97?
give you that in just a minute. When
Yeah.
you want me to put into my specials? Is that what you're telling me to do?
Well, I want to make sure that we get those two, because one thing I know is that, and is there a way of, with this social portal, of finding out the algorithm of knowing when the right time to post? So if you're doing it
So,
yourself at the $29.97.
so what will happen on that, Lisa, is after a few months, it is seeing when people are actually commenting and seeing and everything. It's watching how people behave. So it knows better after about 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that, that, hey, we're seeing that most people are responding to your post at 3:30 in the afternoon. So we're going to post at 3:25. And you'll start seeing that change after a while. If we go back here to Dwight, now Dwight just came online last week. And let me go back into Dwight's.
Jan said, lost my breath for a minute, laughing out loud. I could do $30 a month.
Yeah, yeah. So this, with this, you can see that most things are between 7:55 and 9 a.m. Occasionally you'll see a 9:30, but as these get going along, you'll start seeing these change as to the times. And so, because right now it's just testing it. Then once it gets going, you'll start seeing it moving it to times when people are going to post better or when they're going to respond better. And so we do the morning because that gives you all day, hopefully, for most people to see it at some point. And once we move it down there, then we start seeing a higher, like, share, and comment. And that's what we want.
Nice. So and then you can run reports. I see that. So that it can show how many opens and so forth.
Yes.
Okay. So when will you have LinkedIn on there?
For LinkedIn is already in there, just not for video.
Not for video.
Okay. For standard posts right now. And so you can use it right now for that. It's just that they're being putzes about it. And so, they want you to do it from your computer when you're live. Now, Buffer and Hootsuite have made a deal with them, and they are paying them extra money so that they can do it. And we're trying to get around that because, then we're going to have to raise the price. Because now with those, you have to use the $15 a month program for what normally is free. Just so you can post videos.
Nice. So yes, tell us about your offers as we're getting close to the hour.
Okay, yeah, we're getting up there, aren't we? So, okay, let me share the right thing.
I say this is one thing I love about Boyd, because he's been putting on these seminars, him and Jim together, like each week for
about a year now, we've been doing the virtual ones together.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So Jim and I both do seminars every single week. So coming up this week, tomorrow, we do them on Tuesdays in the afternoon. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing one on do-it-yourself social media. And it's going to cover some of the things that I talked about as well. And so it'll give you some ideas of how to do it yourself. And you can go to register for these seminars right there on the page. It shows it right here. Okay. Then we do have, I just came up with a new one and I forgot to put it in here. I now have a course program where you can go in and take you can download books or courses or reports or things like that. And so if you go to bpmedia.com/academy, that'll take you to our academy that we're putting together. And there's over 100 either books or articles or things like that you can get from in there. Okay. Now, the next thing though is I have a special for everyone here. I have several things that over Christmas I gave these away, one every day or two every day, and so I'm going to give you all of these things for you to get today for free. Now maybe you don't need all of these things, and you'll see a trend here. A lot of it is talking about traffic. Let me get here. So you see traffic here, you see traffic here, engagement. And you see more traffic and more traffic. The reason I do that is look at the bottom here. The more engagement you get, the more prospects you get, the more traffic you get, the more business you'll get.
Yes.
So traffic is a lot of times the way to get things to your website. But it also, you start by getting traffic to your social media or using it for Zoom or other things. And so all of these things are all about getting more people to see your business so that they will be more engaged, more prospects, and then you'll get more business. So, but only take the ones you want. When you go there, you'll see that it has offer one or whatever, book one. I don't remember which one is which. This Pinterest Profits is a book that we put together. It's 35 pages long, I think, and it does give you a lot about this. I teach a course on how to build your Pinterest, and this is the book I use to teach that course. Now you can get the book for free today.
We're not seeing that book, Boyd.
Sorry?
We're not seeing that book. If it's
You're not seeing
one.
Pinterest Profits?
No.
Are you seeing all of the seven books?
Secrets. Yeah, the 7 books. Is there
7 great reports, books, and guides?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The Pinterest Profits is the far right.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry. It's covered with the gallery.
Oh, I see.
I can't see. Sorry.
You're doing one of those kind of things. Okay. So yeah, so there's 7 books here.
Okay.
If you can't see them all, move your screen around or something. Okay. So that gives you a way of getting a hold of it. Now here's where you go to get these. Okay. You got to go to, and I'm gonna bring up my information screen, but I want you to go to bpmedia.com/hotseat, because we're at the Business Hot Seat Conference. So /hotseat, and you'll be able to see all of those that are available.
Thank you.
Okay. And then also I have here another one that's the resources. That is a big one for a lot of my clients. They go there to find out more about doing all types of things. And so it's, we have how to do conferences, how to do web meetings, how to do, and it has a lot of different things. Some of them there's a charge for, some of them's free. They're all things that I use as my resources. That's the cool thing. And yes, I pay for them. And, all of my graphics here were made by a program called Stencil, and that's available on there as well. Now, I also use Canva, but Stencil is my go-to thing. So anyway.
On there with the hot seat, is that where we can also sign up for the $10 off on Portal?
Yes, at the very bottom of it goes. Now, here's the Academy. And then here's the hot seat.
You'll have to share us again.
Yeah, I'm sharing it right now on the chat. So there they are on the chat. So the Academy and then the hot seat. Those are the 2 things I forgot to put in to my slides when I made them this morning. So
perfect.
Questions?
Yes. So we've got just one question that somebody has.
Oh, the site to go to, the recipe for social media success, actually go to a Facebook group. and it's called Recipe for Social Media Success. And you can apply to get into it. And once you do, then you can get in. And you can see all the ones that I've done in the past, and there's should be a download of the chart. And let me grab a copy of my chart here. It'll look something like this.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay,
And so I take the word recipe, and this stands for recreation, for education, for conversational, inspirational, promotional, and entrepreneurship. And so all of those things, and then each one of those have several things. And this is actually the old version, because this one only has 24. There's actually a total of 37 different categories you can do with that.
What was that Facebook group again?
It's Recipe for Social Media Success. In fact, let me go to Facebook and let me grab a copy of my chart here. It'll look something like this.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay,
And so I take the word recipe, and this stands for recreation, for education, for conversational, inspirational, promotional, and entrepreneurship. And so all of those things, and then each one of those have several things. And this is actually the old version, because this one only has 24. There's actually a total of 37 different categories you can do with that.
What was that Facebook group again?
It's Recipe for Social Media Success.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Boyd.
You're welcome. Hey, Dan.
I know, right? We are going to